In today's video, everybody thought he was my boyfriend. The time an Uber driver ogled me and talked about sex on my ride home late at night. 2012 Olympic Games London. This story is slightly different as it's more strange than creepy. It happened back in 2004 when I was 12 years old. It was autumn, the beginning of the school year, but the weather was still uncharacteristically warm and the dark nights of Northern Europe had not kicked it in yet. I was playing outside with my best friend Kirsten. We were sitting and talking on the large rock in front of my apartment complex, right under my window. I don't remember how long we'd been there until we saw a man we had not seen before walk towards us. I say man, but he had that baby face going on where he could have been anywhere from 18 to 35. At first we didn't pay him attention, but as he reached us, he came and sat right next to me, put his arm around me and said, "Sarah. Finally. Where have you been? I have been looking all over for you." At this point Kirsten laughs, thinking it's a boyfriend of mine that I didn't tell her about. Except, it isn't. I have never seen this man in my life. Yes, we lived in a small town, but it wasn't small enough for you to know everybody there, and I was definitely not popular enough for strangers to know my name. Now, a lot of weird things happened often in my hometown, from gunfights to explosions. Kirsten and I made friends with a criminal convicted of chopping two people to pieces, and we had been chased with an axe by the weird alcoholic guy who lived in the forest, so we knew that some people can be extremely dangerous, and if your instinct tells you that something is wrong, you better listen to it. Except, in this case, my instincts never kicked in. I did not see this man as a threat. At all. Thinking to myself that perhaps it is someone I met over the summer and made friends with, trying really hard to remember his name, I just turn to him and say, "Hey, how has your summer been?" Praying that he'll say something that'll jog my memory in regards to him. His face lights up and he just starts talking. About random things. When I can't remember him, no matter how hard I try, I just say, "Sorry, but we really have to go now. It's getting late and tomorrow's a school day." I say this while mentally preparing myself that he might not like it. But he just smiles and says, "Oh, all right, I'll see you around then." I basically drag Kirsten by the arm into my place, and all the while she's still laughing and asking me why I never introduced her to my boyfriend. I shush her and tell her, enunciating every word, that I have never seen this man in my entire life. Kirsten looks at me for a bit, then goes silent and just says, "Ha, that's really weird, I haven't seen him either." Next day, our geography class took place outside. We had to use a compass or something. I no longer remember the details of the class. Not even 10 minutes into the lesson, one of the boys in my class walks up to me and tells me there's a man asking for me. For a second I'm confused. The events of yesterday have already been forgotten. But as soon as I turn around, I see the man from yesterday standing among my classmates looking at me, and everything that happened the day before comes flooding back to me. Now all my classmates are good-naturedly making fun of me, asking me to introduce my new hot boyfriend to them. Even the teacher says jokingly that I will have to tell my boyfriend to wait until the classes are over. At this point I'm really tired, so I just walk up to him and tell him that I'm in class right now and he really shouldn't be on school grounds if he's not a student. He immediately tells me that he's got a car nearby and that he can drive me home. I just tell him that I'm planning on walking home as the weather is nice, but he's welcome to walk with my friends and I, and sure enough, after my classes end he's right there, waiting for me. Normally I walk home with a group of 4 friends, so with an addition of this weird man we can't all walk next to each other. He walks ahead of us, occasionally looking back and asking about my school day, about my grades, etc. Completely harmless questions. No weird compliments. No weird anything except for the fact that I still don't know who this man is. Same evening my phone rings. A call from an unknown number. I answer and I hear a familiar voice go, "Hey, did you get home all right?" I ask if one of my friends gave him my number, and then this time he sounds almost hurt when he says, "No, you give it to me. How can you not remember?" Again we talk for a little bit, mostly about my grades in school. I am not going to drag the story out too much, but this man called me every single day, followed me to school. In school, he sometimes came into the building and found me in the school corridor just to sit and talk to me, walked home with us after school. He found me when I was out with my friends. He always knew when my extracurriculars would end. He was always there, everywhere, every single day. Until, one day in November I left my house to go to school, looking around and I couldn't see him. The whole day passed and he was nowhere to be found. As weird as it sounds, I was concerned, thinking whether something had happened to him. I never did find out. As I said, it's been over 16 years now and I never saw that man again, and everyone I spoke to about it vowed they did not know him either. P.S. I did tell my family. They told me not to encourage him and that I should ignore him. Context. So I had an unpleasant experience late one Saturday night, where an Uber driver stopped his car in the middle of the night to ask for my number. I froze and gave it and he drove on. Luckily I live in my family home, which includes my stocky prison officer brother, and I texted him to meet me at the door, so I didn't feel there was any immediate physical danger. Later I blocked the driver's number when he texted. Following this, my friends recommended I use Uber Pool next time. They said since there would be other people for most of the ride, it should allow me to feel safe. If only. It just got scarier. So after a meal and some drinks on a Friday night, I ordered that Uber Pool, approximate journey time an hour or so. I sit in the back, and the driver is friendly. I engage in small talk. He asks about my name, which happens to be Arabic, and he tells me the meaning of it. He asks if I'm Muslim, if I'm native to London, and he tells me about his daughter. Cool, he seems nice. Around 25 minutes in, the driver informs me that he will be picking up the next fare. There will be 2 people joining, so he suggests I jump in the front, so I'm not sitting next to strangers. No worries, I do. The fare misses their 2-minute window, and he calls them saying Uber automatically canceled their journey. So we drove off. Now I'm sitting next to him in his car late at night, damn, but there should be others joining soon, is my hope. The driver turns to me and looks at me for the first time. "Oh, you're beautiful," he says. I'm squirming internally. Oh God, when is the next fare? There's another half an hour or so of the journey left. The conversation continues this way before he starts to talk about sex. He tells me as a beautiful woman I am lucky and that I can have sex whenever I like and with whoever I like. He continues to ogle me. He talks about my body, asks if I have a boyfriend. I am full on panicking here because I'm scared any minute now he will put his hand on my leg. Despite it being a pool on a busy Friday night, he doesn't pick up any other fare. And we are getting closer to my road where it's quieter compared to the rest of the busy city. The sex conversations continue and he's still staring at me, and I mentally prepare myself to jump out of a moving car if I have to. I call my brother on loudspeaker but he doesn't answer. So I text my mom to meet me at the door. He comes to my street, and as we near the destination, I make a point of saying, "Oh look, my mom's taking out the bins, I need to run." I jump out. Mom asks what's up as I look scared and flustered. I don't tell her, but quickly usher her in and shut the door behind us. Did anyone else in London living in a high flat see the stadium before the launch of the Olympics? This story is about how I saw something I shouldn't have. Me and a friend of mine were hyped about the Olympics as I had a perfect view of the stadium and then fireworks and light display. The week running up to the event, my friend would always visit late to see any displays leading up to the event. A week before the Olympics, we were watching a lights display at 1 a.m. at night. Seemed like they were testing the lighting system in which they threw light beams in the air, like the one for Batman, except they were many light beams. Then all of a sudden different types of designs were made in the dark sky above the Olympic Stadium. While we were watching, a pentagon-shaped sign was initiated on top of the stadium. Took a couple of attempts to get it perfect. But lo and behold, there it was, a 5-pointed star above the stadium it sat. I pulled out my phone and recorded the whole event. Something eerie was happening. Why would they display such a thing so late and then leave it in place? When I started recording, another beam of light from the side of the stadium strobed right into my flat window. As soon as that happened, all the lights switched off. My friend freaked out and a minute later told me he needed to leave as he was paranoid and left. I quickly closed all my lights and went to bed, kicking out the window ever so slightly to see if I was being watched. A month later, after the Olympics, at night, another bright object was shining its light right at my window, to prove to my wife it was following me. I went from one room to the next. It followed me and my wife freaked out and closed the blinds. After that I never saw anything again. Was it a ritual at 1 a.m.? I remember to this day the look of fright in my friend's eyes, his blank expression, and his many excuses to leave my flat. To this day I'm still confused. What the hell happened on that day?